Today, I'm here with Alabama Wrestling Forum's Jaxon Bast. Hey, Jaxon, how are things up in your neck of the woods?
Everything's going well right now. School's going well. I know the team's getting ready for conference this week,
Yeah,
so good luck to those guys.
yeah. Is it cold up there? Because it's actually quite nice down here in the south.
Yeah, I was down in Alabama this past weekend, and I stayed an extra night because there's supposed to be a really bad storm in Bluefield. So I'm glad I did because I heard the conditions up here were horrendous.
You're selling it, man. So you were at sectionals down there recruiting for Bluefield. Is that
Yeah. I went down there. We had some guys that we've been looking at over the course of the season. I went down there, checked them out. All the guys looked pretty well. The bulk of the tournament. I split days. I did one day in the south and one day in the north. So I got to see a little bit of everybody.
got it? Wow, that's awesome. I mean, it's nice that they put all the classifications together and then they're not really all that far apart. So you can't go between the two. So that's got to be cool from a media perspective, also from a recruiting perspective, because you get to see both, 8 tournaments going on. So
Yeah.
all right. So for those that don't know, we are going to break down each of the brackets in all 4 classifications. This is an intro that will go on the front of all 4 of the classifications. So in this intro, Jaxon, I think the thing that I want to ask you just as the basic overall is, we're all going to be in the Von Braun Center together, watching the action and everything else. Sure, you're focused on, say, 1A, 4A, and maybe Weaver or this weight class or whatever, but there's a lot happening. So can you give me 3 big things that kind of happening, in the Von Braun Center that you might be watching?
Yeah, I mean, it's to the fan. I would say that there are a couple of things that I'd be looking out for. Obviously, I'm pretty 7A heavy, but a kid who's actually been on quite a tear, and he goes to my high school. Will Conlon has been on an extreme tear this entire season. I think he's the only kid to beat Hunter Jones in state. He just pinned Jack Lamy in the sectional finals, so he's been taking it to it. And then there's some wrestlers out there like Jonathan Foster from Dora, 1 through 4A. He is such an explosive wrestler. It's honestly so much fun to watch him because he'll body lock him, and then it's guys' feet are up in the air. It's absolutely insane watching somebody like him wrestle. And then there are a couple other storylines you need to keep me out there. I know there are a couple people trying to repeat. Seniors going after their title in their last year. I think it's. Oh gosh, I think it's 152 is Brady Godwin and Josh Rowe. I think they're 2 seniors in 5A, so it's the smallest division, and they're both going after their first title. Josh has seen the state finals before, but it's Godwin's first time, and he just won the sectional tournament hot off of that, so he's full steam ahead.
So I loved how you threw out a few names and they kind of went all of the classifications, even though, like you said, you are 7A heavy. Is there a thing as far as the team races go in terms of what we might be paying attention to? I know Huntsville won duels in 7A, whether they're going to take that in 7A and traditional. Mountain Brook, same thing in 6A, so on and so forth.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, my favorite one to watch the team race easily is 6A. I think Mortimer Jordan's probably the heavy favorites going in. Came into sectionals, took care of business, didn't score all the points they probably thought they could score when it came down to the team race. But they still went out there and they wrestled tough and came home with the sectional title. I will be interested to see if Huntsville can actually push it all the way through. They were the heavy favorites for me going into sectionals. And they lost a couple matches that you could see going either way. And I think that's what it came down to is other teams just had better rounds. And like there were some matches like dang, I just lost his name. Bradley Williams versus Jake Ciccolello, which was a 13-11 match, and it was very much boom, 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 boom. It was an amazing match to watch. 160 with McKinney. He was the 1 seed. Harris Mitchell got some matches back, and he ended up finishing first. So there are some points that you figure they'd be able to have, but maybe it's just not that day. So I'll be interested to see how Huntsville adjusts going into this weekend.
All right. So the last thing I want to bring up is seeding. Alabama is one of the few states that actually seed their state tournament, seed their sectional tournament, and everything else. And for the most part, I think when the seeding is right, it really works well, and they do a pretty good job. The seeds last year and some of the weight classes were really quite good, and we saw a lot of 1 versus 2 matchups. Because the whole point of seeding is to put the two best opposite of one another, and then having 3 and 4 separated. So we see those in the semis and so on and so forth. But I don't know if you noticed this, but there are some weird seeds in some of the classifications. And I'm going to give you just one example. In 7A, at I think it's 126 pounds, 138 pounds, and 285 pounds. Doesn't have anything to do with the number 1 seed or number 2 seeds or anything like that. But the guys who took second in the sectionals in the South, they're 8 seeds. They're the number 8 seed. They're even behind guys that they lost to or that they beat last weekend in sectionals. So that's crazy to me. I don't understand how you can, if you finish second at sectionals, I don't understand how you can not be at lowest the 6th seed, not the 8th seed.
Yeah, no, there were a couple of ones that were pretty puzzling to me, and I don't know if you can go and argue. And I'm sure that if it was literally just head-to-head matchups that the system missed for one reason or another, they might adjust. But I would definitely say that we knew this was kind of the backside of separating the North and the South even more. Those southern places, they end up wrestling the people who are around their area, and those guys aren't necessarily considered some of the high caliber wrestlers like there are in Birmingham. So when you wrestle, I mean, it costs money to travel from like Foley, Alabama, all the way up to Birmingham. So, and it might not be worth that much when you're not thinking, oh, if I still win a sectional tournament, I'm going to get the 8th seed. That's not in your head what's going to happen.
Yeah, no, I totally get that part of it. And I get, even 1, 2, 3, and 4 from the North being the top 4 seeds, and then number 1 from the South is like we see in, I think, 7A 106, where the number 1 from the South is the number 5 seed. The thing I don't get is how in the world a kid who beat a kid last weekend ends up as a lower seed. That's the part I don't get.
I've seen it happen once or twice where they didn't fix it. I think it was like 2020 7A 160. There was this guy who beat a guy, but they ended up, it was kind of weird. Like he should have been above. He beat the guy who was a 3 seed and he was the 6 seed. So they ended up being in the same spot and they had to wrestle each other anyway, but they didn't adjust it because of some like seating hopping. I think, I'm not too sure. But no, honestly, it really did make me, it kind of took me for a loop when they saw some of those people who had beaten people in the previous weekend.
Yeah.
Or even if they outplaced them, like that still surprised me that they're still where they're at.
Yeah, no doubt. All right. I don't want to belabor the seeding and all that. So for those of you who are here for you're here for one of the different ones, because I'm going to cut this up into 4 different ones. We're now going to transition to one of those classifications. Stay with us as we break down all the brackets, all 14, and talk about the team race. We are doing 7A. Jaxon, your favorite classification. Am I right?
Easily. Sorry, 7A bred, 7A all the way.
Yeah, well, you know what? It's also home to some outstanding teams, right? I mean, Vestavia, Thompson, Huntsville, Bob Jones. I mean, Spain Park, Hoover. We can go down the list. I mean, top teams. This year, it really looks like it's a 3-team race for the title between Vestavia, Huntsville, and Thompson. Huntsville did the fantastic run through duels and beating Vestavia first, then Thompson, and then taking apart Smith Station in the finals. But traditional is a whole other beast. And yeah, we'll just kind of see how that plays out. We'll do that at the end. Does that work for you?
That works for me.
All right. So let's jump to 106 pounds. And one thing I want to say before we get started, we have already noticed a couple of discrepancies. I downloaded my information a few hours ago. Jackson's actually looking at his live as we're doing this recording. But this is Tuesday afternoon. This will drop on Wednesday. You might not even watch it till Thursday. So if that's the case, there might be a few changes in the seeds between now and then. Maybe not, but keep that in mind if for some reason we say something that you now look at the brackets and it's not the same. So that's it. All right, jumping to 106 pounds. Man, super good weight. Cayenne Simon is your number 1 seed. Clark Box is your 2 seed. Caden Clark is your 3 seed. Kale Tucker is your 4 seed. They are 1, 2, 3, and 4 in the North. I mean, let's be honest. I'm looking forward to a potential. I mean, Tucker's got to beat Sanders and then beat Simon to even get to the finals. And Tucker's a returning state runner-up. How do you see 106?
I definitely see it being more of a Cayenne Simon. Probably gonna take it. But that's not to say that there are some guys. I mean, it was 5-4 before he got the escape last time. So it was a close match, and it was a takedown, put Box back into it. I wasn't expecting Box to take out Tucker, and then Caden Clark came back, and I think he won a match that I didn't think he was going to win in the consolation semi. It was a close one with Denny.
Well, and he took a medical forfeit over Tucker, which, you know, that makes it hard because, I mean, unless Tucker feels like he matches up better with Simon than he does Box, but, you know, because you could have projected that was probably going to be the 4th seed was whoever took 4th there. So,
yeah.
All right. So who's the winner?
Probably Cayenne Simon.
All right. Let's jump to 113. Again, the North, as winter is coming up north, and man, just some fantastic teams. Camden Tipton is your 1 seed. Stone Phillips is your 2 seed from Vestavia. Wallace Blue is your 3 seed. John Adams, who's your South champion from Auburn, is your 4 seed. But really, we're probably talking Tipton, Phillips, and Blue. Not to say nobody else has a shot, but historically speaking, those 3 have been, at least this year, have been super good.
Yeah, I think it'll be I think it'll be Wallace Blue, Adams, or Wallace Blue, and then Tipton, Adams probably in the finals. If I'm gonna say there's an underdog, it's probably Caleb Gray Lowe.
Mm-hmm. Little 7th grader.
I think he is really good. He actually didn't do that bad when he went up to the Stampede. So like usually you can tell that he's not going to bring somebody who he doesn't think is quality. Coach Welton wouldn't. He wouldn't bring somebody who's not of quality to the Stampede. He wrestled really well. I think he placed 13th at the Steed as a 7th grader. Not bad. I honestly was not expecting Tipton to beat Phillips. I pretty much had Phillips, with this weight the whole time. And I probably still have Phillips taking it overall.
Okay.
Blue and Tipton probably at different weights honestly, I would say at different weights in different divisions would probably be state champs, but in 7A, that's just the luck of the draw, all 113s. But I probably have Phillips coming out in the number 1 spot.
All right. So let's jump to 120 and your 106-pound state champion from last year, now up at 120 with Thomas Gear from Thompson. He is your 1 seed. Hastings is your 2 seed. Stifler, who's exceptionally tough out of Enterprise, is your 3 seed. A good weight class, and I think it's Gear. It's Gear or Geary? Gear? You're not 100% sure.
I've been corrected a couple times too.
I'm sure somebody from Thompson will let me know. But regardless, I mean, he's wrestled super well this year, and I mean, he's pretty much the favorite, right?
Yeah, no, I definitely would say he's probably, yeah, he's number one. Hastings had a really close match with him in the finals, which kind of surprised me in the sense that, Gear's pretty dominant.
Right.
But he came in, took care of business, gave up some stalling points, I think, at the end of the match.
Well, and to be fair, Hastings and Stifler are both. I mean, they've both been here. They know what the environment is like. They're not going to be surprised by the situation. But you are running into, a defending state or a returning state champ. So
Yeah, no, so I would say Gear's my top pick, and I think it'll be Hastings in the finals.
all right. So 126, you've got Ty Sisson from Hoover, who is your North champ, Greer Hunt, who is your South champ, as your top two seeds. Joseph Sowell of Huntsville is your runner up from the North, who is your 3 seed. And yeah, this is a weight I don't understand because Logan Odom took second in the South, yet he's not the 4 seed. Soto is, and I think Odom beat Soto. So anyway.
Yeah, like we said, we've realized that there's quite a bit of discrepancy between what it should be and what it is. Yeah, Odom beat Soto.
Now,
Soto
is that what you have as far as your seeds? If you're looking at the
yeah, I
bracket?
do. And then I also have Soto losing to Sanford,
Right.
who's 7. Yeah. So your guess is as good as mine on why the seeds are the way that they are. But I probably still have Sisson making the finals. And he'll probably wrestle Hunt. Soul had a really, really good year. But I still have Greer Hunt making the finals for him. It's not going to be an easy path, but he'll make it. I think if there's somebody who I think is kind of like under the radar, is probably Jordan Welton. He's had a really, 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 really good year for a sophomore. I think things are starting to click for him more and more. So I would be surprised if we see him on the podium at the end.
Okay. Did you pick a winner?
I think I picked Sisson.
Okay.
Ty Sisson.
All right. Jump into 132 pounds. Your number 1 seed is Yannick Simon from Huntsville. 2 seed is Kiowa Vines. 3 seed Isaiah Watts out of the South is your champ down there. But I mean, look, at the beginning of the year, I thought Simon and Vines were closer. They just don't seem to be as close as they once were.
No, that was 11-0. I think was the
Yeah, it was one of the matches I went and watched actually, and it was not close.
no. Simon came out, dominated very well. And like you said, I thought it was going to be a much closer match. Wasn't sure who they could say it would go in favor of. But if right now, I think the seeds, I think there's a big gap between Vines and Watts, just like I think there's a big gap between Simon and Vines. I think your seeds pretty much hold throughout. I think Gatlin Tate, I could see him having a good run. Depending on his day. I mean, I think he made the finals. He
did make the finals.
He beat Bloxton. I don't know who Bloxton. So Wilson took 3rd. So Tate should actually be probably seated higher as well over Wilson at least.
Yeah,
he beat Wilson.
Although I mean, 4 and 5 seeds pretty much are going to run into each other anyway.
I guess it's who wants a break in that first round.
Well, I think the buys are random, aren't they? Or they're supposed to be.
Yeah, they're drawn in. I think after they see top 8, everybody who was a 5 or 6 was drawn in.
Yeah. All right, jump into 138. So your boy Bradley Williams is the number 1 seed. Now Bradley hasn't won a state title yet, right?
Nope, he is 0 for 2 in the state finals.
Yeah, that's what I thought. He has been there, but he hasn't quite overcome that. Good wrestling. I mean, good. He ran. I mean, he wrestled well last week in the North. Cicolella and Dempsey are both there, but Bradley looks tuned in.
No, Bradley wrestled well, and he wrestled through the finals.
13-11, right?
I was gonna say he didn't. Nobody controlled that match. At one point, I saw Bradley like chin whip one side, Ciclella adjusts, and then he like completely switches his hips or something and flips Ciclella right to his back. It was not a very controlled match either way. I think honestly, just depending on the day, that match goes to whoever at the end. I will be interested to see if Dempsey can beat Cicalella, but as of right now, I think Cicalella probably makes the finals, wrestles Williams, and I probably have Williams coming out on top.
All right. Jumping to 145. Brady Campbell from Opelika is your South champ and lost in the finals a year ago in 5A, 6A. Vestavia's Andrew Sullivan's your 2. Brock Fields is your 3. Brock Metcalf is your 4. So a good weight, but Campbell's look super.
Yeah, I think Campbell probably has this weight in the bag. I think he'll have some really tough matches in Metcalf, or if he has Rayford. Actually, I might think his semis might be tougher than his finals, depending on who he catches. I think Fields, Sullivan. Honestly, I see Fields coming out on top in the bottom, even though it was all Andrew Sullivan in the finals itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, 5-2 in favor of Sullivan. But I still have Fields making the finals, but I think it'll be Brady Campbell on top.
Well, and that right there is super important because, second place versus third place in terms of points, that would be a really important semifinal match. Head up. Do you know did they wrestle one another in the duels? Do you know?
I actually have no idea if they did or not.
Okay, I was just curious. I didn't know. All right. Obviously, the most recent win went to Sullivan. All right. So your 152 number 1 seed Devin Stone of Thompson, Cody Kirk, who was phenomenal as a freshman a year ago, but he does sit in the same bracket as Stone. That's tough. Lacera is super tough. Chandler is good, but Devin Stone has been fantastic.
I think it'll probably be Devin Stone on top after it's all said and done. Actually, this is honestly a really, really good weight when it comes to the top 4. I could see the 3 or the 4 going either way.
Mm-hmm.
I think it really just kind of depends on how everything flips out. But I think it'll be a Kirk Stone final. I think Stone's going to take it.
All right. Now we come to 160, and 160's been kind of fun. I mean, on paper, Harris Mitchell looked like the one, and he ended up being the one, and he ended up winning last week. But he did get pinned by Miller earlier in the season, and yeah, Harris Mitchell, John McKinney, Paxton Miller, Dalton Wainwright in there as a South champ. So this one might be a little bit more difficult to pick, or is this pretty easy? Do you think it's Harris Mitchell?
I think it's Harris Mitchell. I'll be interested to see who can make the finals. McKinney did pin Miller. But I don't know. I feel like Miller might be able to make a couple adjustments to make the finals. But I think the Kent State Golden Flash commit is probably going to go and take this title.
Well, and he only beat McKinney 1-0. Now, I didn't see the match, but man, talk about wrestling some close matches, huh?
Oh yeah. He's 19-1, but I don't know.
All right. So jumping to 170. You've got Jaxon Mitchell sitting there as your 2 seed from Spain Park. I'm just giving a tip of the cap to the Spain Park crew, but Carson Freeman has he's won a couple of state titles, I believe, and is the 1 seed. You look at his record, 9 losses. Does he only have 2? Does he have 1?
I think he has one.
Does he have one? Okay. He might have one. I know he beat Edwards last year.
I think that was it. I think he got
Is that
third
it?
the year before. Yeah,
Got
he
it.
got third.
Well, you look at his 9 losses, and I know that looks like a lot of losses, but Thompson goes everywhere, right? I mean, some of those, 2 of those losses were at the KC Stampede. 2 of those losses were down at the Knockout, right? They wrestle everybody. So, who's your pick at 170?
Okay, so this is a way I could definitely see going a million different ways too. I could see Johnson finding that way in the finals. I could see Kovac making the finals. But if I had to go with it, I say Freeman probably takes it, and I think he sees Mitchell in the finals.
But you do think that there's a possibility for, I mean, it's not like when we were talking about in 6A with Isaiah Poe, where, I mean, not that anything can happen, but it just doesn't seem likely. This one's a little bit more, you could see
something could happen. Yeah, something could definitely happen at that weight. It's, I mean, I know that I think Mitchell, if I'm not mistaken, Mitchell beat I don't remember who he beat. He beat Johnstone, but it was an overtime victory. So I mean, it really just kind of depends on where everything lies.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, jumping to 182. Are we going to get another rematch? Are we going to get a rematch of Conlon and Lamy?
We probably are going to get a rematch in the state finals. I think there's a really big gap between Conlon, Lamy, everybody else.
All right, and Conlon, I mean, Conlon looked good.
Yeah, Conlon's one of those guys who I talked to him this summer, and his goal was to beat Hunter Jones, and then he's probably gonna go to a different weight. But he beat Hunter Jones.
Right. So who are you taking in this one?
Probably Will Conlon.
All right. So
I think it's a safe bet.
I understand that. All right. So jumping down to 195 and the aforementioned Hunter Jones from Hewitt Trustville. Was it confusing Freeman and Jones in that Jones is now going for his third?
Yes. Jones is going for his third.
Okay. Another Spain Park wrestler, Jag, down there at the 2 seed, Kyle Oliveira. Riggs Manown from Vestavia Hills is your 3 seed. Ian Osborne is your 4 seed. All from the north. But Hunter Jones is?
Hunter Jones is.
Okay.
And then honestly, if there's a semifinal that I don't see necessarily going Spain Park's way, it's probably this one. I think Manown's he beat all there last year. And then Manown won on the backside. I think Osborne was the 2 at sectionals, and then Oliveira beat him, which wasn't surprising to me. But what was surprising was that they put Manown where he was. But
right, is the 5 seed.
I think it's a toss up in the semis, but I still think Hunter Jones comes out on top regardless of who wins the semifinals.
All right, so jump into 220. You've got number 1 seed Andrew Sykes of Vestavia, Caleb Johnstone from Chelsea, super tough. Tafari Alsimi, is that how you say it? And Chris Hawkins, again, all north at the top. But I mean, like, let's be honest, like Desmond Nesbitt from Central, Lance Peterson from Smith Station are both really, really good wrestlers. So just because the North has the top 4 seeds doesn't mean we won't see a central wrestler climb into one of those 4 spots, or one of those South wrestlers climb into one of the 4 spots.
I think that's what I think we might see that. I think that you could see one of the South wrestlers making the semis. I don't see either of them breaking out of the semis though. I think we'll see Johnstone Sykes. My pick last week was Johnstone to beat Sykes. But Sykes wrestled fairly well.
186.
Was that the final score? 8-6.
Mm-hmm.
So I was a little A little surprised that even though the seating wasn't in favor of Johnstone, I still was surprised that Johnstone dropped it to Sykes.
So who are you taking this week?
Probably Sykes. After watching him wrestle last week, it'll probably be Sykes.
All right, and your big guys. Another Spain Park heavyweight. Has there been a heavyweight at Spain Park who has won a title since you?
I mean, he came in right after me.
Oh, he did. Okay.
So my senior year, some wee little freshman named Rashad Burtz decides he wants to walk into my room and be my backup for a whole year. And then the next year he's ranked 3rd in the state. So I don't know. You tell me.
Has there been a Spain Park champion since you?
No.
And no, wait.
I mean, it's only been 3 years.
Right. No, I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying, but I mean, you got Bradley Williams down low. You got Burtz up top. You know, I mean, all right. You got Sunderman from Bob Jones, who is there at the 2 seed, Chapman, the 3 seed. You know, Mitch Taylor down there at the 5 seed, so on and so forth. But Burtz and Sunderman, they were close. Did you watch that match?
I was. My dad has a video of me jumping and yelling at him from this, because I wasn't gonna sit in this corner, but I was on the mat right next to it yelling. The ref had to tell me to move.
Oh, is that right?
Eventually he got it that he wasn't gonna get me to move. But yeah, no, I mean it was a close match. I would say that there was not a lot of offense on either side of that match. They both didn't really do anything. What it really came down to was who could ride who out. Burtz got the escape in the second, and then he rode out Sunderman. And since Sunderman, I guess, got tired, he kind of laid there a little bit, and the second stall warning came on, and that's what made him win 2-0. So it was I hate to say it's a very typical heavyweight match, because I mean, it's changed a lot. Heavyweights changed a lot since they started, but it was a very, very tight match that just so happened to go in favor of Burtz. I mean, when they wrestled a long time ago, it was 2-2 in triple overtime, and because Sunderman picked or scored the first points, he got bottom. So it might honestly come down to
so what's going to happen this weekend?
I'm going to go with Burtz for right now. Like I said, I won't be surprised if somebody else slips in, though, because I've seen Chapman, Taylor, Sunderman was a close match. Then Taylor lost to Chapman, so Chapman probably wrestles a really tight one with Sunderman as well. But I probably see Burtz still coming out on top.
All right, and now to the team race. What? Do you just simply don't know the answer?
No, that's never the case. It's honestly, if somebody had to put money on it, I can't bet against the Thompson Warriors down in Alabaster, Alabama.
Okay, so you're taking Thompson to win it.
I don't know how they do it, but every year they find some way or somehow.
All right. Okay, you heard it. All the Rebels from Vestavia, right there. Bama Wrestle. Make sure you reach out. Huntsville, man, you guys just won the duels, and he's not picking you for traditional. You know where to reach out. Hit him up on Instagram, on Facebook. He loves the YouTube messaging app too, so make sure you do that. But Jaxon, I appreciate you taking the time, man, and we'll see how your picks play out.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be on here today.
All right, man. You take care.